You're listening to the Career Plus Life Catch-Up, episode number 66. Welcome to the Career Plus Life Catch-Up, a show anchored in reality to help you create a balanced life where you enjoy both your work and your life, because you don't have to choose. I am your host, Cecile Ferry, a corporate executive turned coach and working mom. This is your place for insights, advice, and tools to optimize your career direction, balance, and confidence. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get into it. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the podcast this week. It's great to have you here. How have you been? What has been happening in your life in the last couple of weeks? How are you feeling? We are going to talk about that today. So I wanted to take this opportunity in this podcast to share with you a new offer I've just launched. So I'm conscious that you may be listening at a different time. However, it will probably continue on for some time. So there it is. I've just launched a new service as a coach where you can have access to me by WhatsApp messaging for an entire month. So this offer is called Your Personal Coach, and I'm really excited about kicking this off in October. So at the moment, I'm only opening it to 2 people per month so I can give them my full support and attention. So as I'm recording this, there is still 1 spot for October. So how this works is we spend 1.5 hours together on Zoom to have a proper foundational coaching session together. And we talk about the situation, what is going on, what are you trying to achieve, what is not working, what do you need help with. And this can be about your career or this can be about your personal life. After the session, you walk away with clarity about your goal, with an action plan to follow through, and off you go getting started. And then you'll have me for an entire month on your phone, in your pocket. You'll be able to message me and get coaching and get guidance based on the situation that you're facing. Whatever ups or downs life is throwing at you during that month in relation to our coaching. So there you go. If this sounds really interesting and like something that you want to do for yourself, you can go and visit www.careercatchup.com/personal coach, all in one word, personal coach. I will also put the link in the show notes. So if this speaks to you, don't wait, go and lock in your spot for October. And if you're listening to this later, you haven't missed out. You can still go on the same webpage and register for the following month. All right, my friends. So today I want to talk about the post-pandemic hangover. And that is my own term. And it's only my own opinion. This is based on what I see. And I'm not an expert. I will say it again. I'm not claiming anything. But I found that that term really represents what I'm going to describe today. So we're about 30 months in after the pandemic started, and I call it the post-pandemic, but we all know it's not over yet. So since the start of the pandemic, I have done a couple of episodes to share my insights about what the pandemic brought to us. So you may be new or relatively new to this podcast, so you can go back and check episode 18 that has lessons from 2020. And then there was also episode number 51 that had lessons from 2021. So today I'm kind of building onto that a bit early. It's not lesson from 2022 yet. But I really see things right now and I want to help you finish the year as best as possible. If you go back and re-listen, 2020, I talk about it being a year of, the shock of the change, of doing less, of doing sometimes without some things that were really important to us and grieving that, and also having some awareness of where in our life maybe things were not quite working. 2021 was the next step from that, where we got thrown into a lot more uncertainty and it was tough. It was the toughest year. There's a lot of hardship, survival. Our mental well-being was being tested. So we're really in the thick of it and we tried to change, but it was really difficult with the level of resilience and hardship that we were facing. Okay, so now fast forward to 2022. Life is back to normal. Everyone says it. Now we can travel, we can see our friends, we can make plans, we can do things, right? So back to normal. Is it? Because I see trends, I see behaviors, I see patterns that are showing up these days as a result of the last 2 years. They are not at play in full light. It's not super obvious, but I see them right underneath the surface. And that's what I wanted to talk about here today. Because whilst we can do normal things in normal life, I don't think we are feeling normal. So that's why I call this the hangover, to capture all those things that are lingering within us as a result of the last 2.5 years. And a lot of these are actually not even conscious to us. But as I talk about them today, you might identify with them. So first, I'm going to describe what I mean by this hangover. So, okay, I know this section might not be the most uplifting one, but then I will talk to you about what I think we need to all do to transition out of that hangover and all get back to a place where we've got our stamina back, we've got our energy back, we've got our lives more back on track. So I hope you're excited. Let's get into it. Okay, so what am I talking about? What is this hangover? So I'm going to talk to you about how I see it manifest, because it's actually really multi-layered. Number one, we are overtired and under-vacationed. This may resonate with you, especially if you listen to episode 64, where I talk in particular about the importance of rest. So the facts are there that we haven't taken much leave from work. Maybe we have visited family, but it's often not restful. We've been working longer hours. So all of that equals our brains are exhausted. And frankly, we have less energy to do things outside of the day-to-day, everyday, ordinary stuff. So that's number one. Our energy levels are at our all-time low. Number two, there is financial stress. We may have lost a job or lost some income through the pandemic. There is inflation, rates are going up, there's a rising cost of living. It's affecting everybody differently, but there is financial stress. And if we compare to a year ago, the stress was about getting parcels delivered and getting products in time for Christmas. We are in a very different place right now, where we are worrying about paying our bills, our cost of living, and where we can afford to live. Number three, economic stress. Food supply. If we look at gas supply around the world, we see a lot of shortages of goods. We see shortages of labor force in some key industries. There's also political stress. There is the situation in Ukraine, there's China, and I could go on. Quite often also, as a result of the pandemic, we have changed homes. So maybe you have moved and you need to make a new place feel like home where you are. I've also seen a lot of changes in relationships. I think that is the area where really a lot of that post-pandemic impact is showing up. And I'm talking relationships broadly. So relationships at work, you're seeing your colleagues less. Changes in your friendships, because maybe you've lost a bit of distance with some friends. You don't catch up very often anymore. All the way to romantic relationships. And unfortunately, I know quite a lot of people that have been going through tough situations with relationships breakdown or potentially on the verge of breaking down. Another layer is that some of us have lost the grounding of seeing our family regularly, or have lost their home, which was their rock before. So losing that grounding, that environment that used to be caring and nurturing for us. I won't go in full detail about kids, but early research shows how kids have been impacted. They are lost. They lack social skills with being out in the real world again, and they're more glued to screens than before. Another one that I always look at is how people behave on the road. There is so much road rage, I find. And that to me is always an indicator of people's nervous system. So how people get really angry on the road for what's happening is always quite telling. Also, some of us have picked up some habits that linger on, and that's hangover as well. So whatever they are, it could be drinking, snacking, staying up late, getting up late, staying home, whatever it is. I hear a lot of people saying, well, this started since the pandemic and haven't been able to stop it. So it's still with me, still lingers. Or if we look at work, a lot of workers, and it could be you, are feeling frankly disengaged from their jobs because also they are exhausted. But that's what is called the quiet quitting that we're seeing around the world, where people are doing less just because we are exhausted and also because we've been given so much more. Because a lot of us with working from home have actually increased our load because we work more on the work front and we actually work more on the home front too as well. So we actually lost some of that free time that we had for other things. So all of that, if you mix all of that up, and we are all concerned by most of those things, is what I call the collective hangover that we are all kind of swimming in very slowly, softly, and it doesn't feel like it because on the surface, we can still do things. Life seems pretty normal. But when you see everything I've just described, it is not normal. And the way we've adjusted to the last 2 years is still here and is difficult for us. I don't think we are going back to how we were before. How could we? Like our minds, everything about us has been so impacted and has felt the impact of everything that's happened around us that we wouldn't be human beings if we just turn around and say, yeah, that's fine, it's all over, back to good, back to before. Of course not. So we are in a new place now where it's not as bad as during the pandemic. It's not like what it was before, but we are in that sort of hangover place where if I had to summarize how we feel, I have 3 words: isolated, low on energy, and this could actually be called burnt out for some people. It's anywhere on that spectrum of low energy, and disconnected from ourselves. So it's like we've all been shaken up over the last 2 years, a bit like we've been thrown into a washing machine and we've been spat out. And we are frankly not balanced, usually physically, mentally, and emotionally, like we may have been before. And again, it's normal after what we've been through. But right now, we tend to prefer safety to risk. We prefer low-key to effort. We tend to protect ourselves rather than go after new things. So all of that means that even though we have more freedom and life seems more normal, I don't think we are truly enjoying our lives right now. And is that the case for you too? Does what I say resonate with you? So I see there is that inertia happening these days that leads to some form of dissatisfaction. But it's latent. It's not obvious because the situation is better than what has been in the last 2 years. So that's what I call that hangover, that I see we're kind of all moving through right now and we're not sure how to get out of. So now that I have spoken about how we are probably truly feeling, I won't let you hang in there without giving you what I see as potential solutions to climb back out of this situation. I don't know how long it's going to take us. As I said, I'm not an expert. I don't think anyone knows. No one's been through a pandemic before. So we're still working things out, but I want to give you some strategies, some pointers to follow that I know will work to take you from wherever you are right now on everything that I've described and into a place where you feel less isolated, more connected with yourself, with more energy. So I have about 7 points to talk you through, but the first one, you could see it coming, is to rest properly. We cannot skip that with what our bodies and minds have been through in the last couple of years. It will never go away, the level of fatigue that we have, unless we properly rest. There is no other way. So I keep saying it, book yourself some holidays. Like, I wish I was the president of a country and I would declare an entire month off all businesses, because we all need a proper break, because everyone will be much better. The economy will be better. Families will be better. Kids will be better from it. So we do need that proper break. So look into what you can do in your life to have yourself a proper break and not just a day or two. Number 2, we need to reset our systems since they've been so dysregulated by external environment. So I'm talking about our nervous system, our immune system, and our physical system. Again, I'm not an expert here. You can go and find people that will help you precisely with those 3 things. But what I can say on a general level, we need good sleep, we need movement. Being out in nature is absolutely critical to reconnect and to soothe your nervous system, to calm your nervous system, to bring it back into balance. Basically, we need to stay away from technology. So this isn't basic self-care, because usually self-care is about maintenance of those things. But right now, I'm not even talking about maintenance. We need to rebalance, improve. Most of us have been affected in those areas. Another thing we need to do is to watch ourselves. So by that I mean, we need to be taking a step back, if you like, and watching ourselves like we're being the observer of our thoughts and our behaviors. It's always good in life in general, but I think particularly these days, because so many of us are under the influence of the stress, of the anxiety, of the build-up of the last 2-3 years, of the low energy that we're in. We don't realize the impact that's having on what we're saying, what we're doing, and how we're generally feeling. And I think that will help us having more compassion for ourselves if we can sort of take some distance and look at ourselves like, how are we doing today? What's happening? How are we reacting? And try to take that observer stance and then act on it with compassion and realize that you probably need more support, more care in different areas that I'm going to talk about. Another big thing to do, and if you only take one thing from this podcast episode, is to increase our human connection. Because with the pandemic, we have gone so far backwards on this, especially in countries with a lot of confinements, that we need to actually relearn what it's like to have those meaningful connections with other humans. So we need to reach out more to others. And I'm not talking with a text message or with a Zoom catch-up. We need to call people. We need to talk to them. We need to see them. We need to be with them. We need to relearn to live together with people as society. So that means going more into the office. That means rebuilding friendships or starting new ones, organizing social catch-ups, getting out there, people, leaving the house, going to places to mingle with people, like networking, community events, tools, groups, not just our kids' activities, things for us, things that we were doing before that we have kind of forgotten about. because we live so closed off now. Everyone is just doing their own little things, and we can. Life is busy enough there. But we are not going to thrive unless we rebuild those human connections in our life. That's how we're designed to be. That brings us love, that brings us oxytocin, happy hormones, and we need to have that outside of our immediate household. Besides, I think by reaching out to other people, you can offer support and compassion for them too. I think a lot of people are currently dealing with stuff on their own and not showing it and keeping to themselves. So by extending an arm out to them, by catching up, you are allowing other people to feel better too. And that will make you feel good as well. So more human connections is what we all need. Another thing I recommend you do to combat this sort of hangover is to love yourself more. This is a time where we need to turn inwards and really genuinely care for ourselves. And that means giving ourselves what we need, like being our best carer. That can be physical, mental, emotional level. You know what it is for you. And that means we really need to have a really good look and ask ourselves and know ourselves really deep down, probably better than what we had to do in the past. And for some of us, even it's just healthcare. A lot of us have forgotten about those things and relegated them to a really low priority. I think it's really critical in those times that we give to ourselves first and then reach out to other people. So you know what it is for you. So you need to do what is nourishing for you, what is giving to you, and what's filling you with joy. And it's usually not an external thing out there. It's something that you know you enjoy doing, and you need to be more intentional. And you also need to be really kind to yourself. So for me, it's like self-care square, what we need to do these days. And I know as a society, we are meant to feel guilty for doing that, or it's not important, or it's a nice to have. I tell you what, without that and the rest that I mentioned first, we will not rebuild for a very long time. And then we're going to have more issues in our relationships, in our work, and so on. So that is a non-negotiable. We really need to treat ourselves with the most care and respect and attention versus what we've been doing in the past. Second to this, beyond doing the self-care, in parallel, we need to get rid of or declutter anything right now that is making our hangover worse. Things that are creating pain. And this can really be external. If it's an internal habit that we have, especially our way of thinking, we need to let it go. We need to drop it. But if it's certain people, certain aspects of our lives, the longer we stay in it, the longer the pain will be, and the longer it will take us to get out of the hangover. So that is sort of the other side of the self-care coin, is you need to stop letting yourself experience those things that drain you, that harm you, that create emotional pain for you. And I'm not just saying one little pain somewhere, but something that is ongoing, that is consistent, that is lasting, and you know what it is in your life. And quite often this started for us in 2020, and maybe we've been carrying that backpack across the last 2 years, 2.5 years, and we're frankly exhausted to do so. So it's hard, right? But now is the time to drop that backpack, to free yourself up, and to cut some of those things that are not serving you. And finally, once you've done those things that already will make a tremendous difference to how you feel and how you can contribute in the world, it is a really good time to find resources to help you move on to the next stage in your life. Because as I said, I don't think this is linear. I don't think we're going back to how things were before. So you can look at it like in front of you, there is the new phase of your life, the new you. So what is it going to look like? What do you need? And I'm really thinking about the skills, the scaffolding, the support, the things you need in your life for the next stage. So things to help you grow again, things to help you go into a new direction. So again, it could be on different level. It could be physical, when doing more exercise, a personal trainer, some Pilates, or cooking new meals. It could be mental or emotional, listening to some podcasts, following people who are out there sharing a lot of highly valuable content and advice on areas of your life where you need the support. So for that, technology is amazing and use it. So my recommendation is, once you are feeling better and you have time, get into a program, get into a course, sign up for coaching. Do those things to invest in yourself, to grow, to rebuild, to recalibrate. And there are plenty of people out there right now qualified and waiting to help you. So whatever it is, a wellness coach, a health coach, career help, money help, relationship help. Once you've cared for yourself, the best medicine after a hangover is action. So you need to rebuild. And that will bring you new excitement and newness. So until you do that, you're going to be stuck in the past. You're going to be rehashing and you're going to be stagnating. But as I say, you need to feel better first, and then you will have the energy to look forward and get excited about what's next for you. Okay, my friends, so this was my take on the post-pandemic hangover that is currently happening. If you have your own views, please feel free to share with me and reach out to me on social media. Because I think we are all a bit shaken up, and it's not going to change overnight. And I don't think it's going to be driven externally by the world. I think, if anything, we're actually going to see probably more storms on that front. But therefore, the work comes from the inside. I really believe that is the renewal that is coming through. We need to rebuild our stamina, our mind strength, and our connections. So now is really not a time to push yourself or to judge yourself for not having achieved things, for not being further along, for not doing this or that. Not helpful. I hope you really got that from what I said today. It's hard enough what we've been coping with, where we are today. Then we need to stack all the good things on our side to push it back the other way. We need to rest up. We need to care for ourselves. We need to build new connections again, and we need to reinvest into the next phase of our life. And basically, we need to be active. We need to regain that sense of agency of our life and not just plod along. I think a lot of us are doing that because we are tired. But once you rest properly, you will see that energy will be back there and you'll be ready, because it's our tendency to grow, to always lean forward. So that's always what we're going to be doing. But right now, I think a lot of us are in that limbo where we are so exhausted that we need the support and the advice to say, hey, go and rest up, do those things, and then you can get back up. So I really hope this podcast was enlightening, it was insightful, it helped you maybe understand some parts of your life, and it gave you some inspiration to make a couple of small changes. You don't need big things, because remember, you need to meet yourself where you are, but start moving in that direction and see how you feel, and you will feel the difference pretty quickly. So that's my wish for you. Have a beautiful week. Take great care of yourself, and I'll speak with you soon. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to find out more information, you can visit my website at careercatchup.com. There you will find blog articles, free resources, a self-study course for your career direction, and ways to work with me. It's at careercatchup.com. I hope to continue to connect with you and support you. Talk to you soon.